Good morning. Well, today's an exciting day at the Capitol because we are about to hear our February forecast. The funny thing is, I'm going, talking to you, I'm going to a legislative briefing to hear from the people at the MMB to give us the facts, although the Star Tribune already has the facts. So how good are secrets kept around here? So I can tell you that what I've heard is there is now a $1.9 billion surplus. That is certainly good news. Now, what that reflects, I've not heard the details, but one can assume that it reflects what we've all been feeling, and that is a very strong economic recovery. We were at the bottom of the bottom just 2 years ago, and we have watched ourselves slowly through very hard work and certainly some good fortune put ourselves back on a path of strong financial footing. So does that mean we should just say, oh, spend that money? I would say absolutely not. We need to be cautious, we need to be conservative, we need to be putting some money in reserves, and of course we should look at our tax structure newly enacted. I carried a bill, as I've talked about, to protect the small businesses from being charged the tax rate of the very top tier. So we'll see what happens with this surplus. I don't know how it's going to be enacted. That's one thing I wanted to share about this morning. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is the final chapter of the deficiency bill. I remember when this first happened, I shared that there was some controversy on the floor. I didn't realize how great the controversy would grow between the governor and our majority leader, Senator Bach, but you've all probably seen that this has been resolved. And yesterday we passed a deficiency bill that very little was said about what it actually did. And so I want to remind people that this bill had nothing to do really about salaries. What this bill was making sure that we gave hospitals what they needed when they came to the front lines and protected the public against the risk of an Ebola outbreak. That was number one. Number two, we had some very real needs at the St. Peter's Hospital. And so we did send a significant amount of money in that deficiency bill to take care of those two issues. The controversy surrounding the pay raises was too bad. I'm not saying that it wasn't worth having that discussion. I'm just telling you that it really wasn't at the heart and soul of that deficiency bill. And so for anybody who didn't catch the details, the compromise that was worked out was that while the legislature 2 years ago said that the governor really had the authority to set the pay of his own staff, just like in any company, a CEO would be able to set the pay of those who work for them, that in fact, because of this, that we are, as a legislature, taking that authority back. Although we are respecting that the governor did have that authority, we gave that governor that authority in law, and so there's a one-day carve-out where, in fact, the governor will get to keep his authority on July 1st, and if he chooses to take those commissioners to the higher proposed salaries, he can do that. So that was the compromise. The Republicans, the Democrats, and the governor all agreed to it, and hopefully that's the end of that story. Although nothing ever is really the end of that story. We'll see how that goes. Finally, I had a bill heard in two committees this week that I just wanted to mention briefly. We talk about counselor shortages in the K-12 system. Well, 2 years ago, I introduced a bill that used the workforce centers, and we've got 50 workforce centers around the state, use the career counselors there and put them in the high schools to provide career counseling for students. That pilot, which was tried in 4 different places, was extremely successful. And so I introduced a bill that said, let's take the learnings of that pilot and put it to scale. Let's have our workforce center counselors be able to augment our regular school counselors all over the state so that we can give our young people the kind of career advice, job information, and support that they require as they contemplate what's next in their future. So just an update on that. Thanks for tuning in, and by the time you read the e-newsletter, I'll have gotten the briefing so I can provide more details about how this surplus happened.